Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we will be discussing the best lifting routine for building muscle for beginners, okay? So some background about me. I've been bodybuilding for about 8 years. Over the past 8 years, I put on about 40 pounds of muscle. I started at about 140, 9% body fat. Now I'm about 180, 12% body fat. And so this description is just pretty much an assortment of everything I've learned over the years and what I feel is the best routine for building muscle, so for beginners. So let's jump right into it. So before I discuss the routine, this is very important to know. In order for this routine to be effective, in order to get the most results from this routine, in order to build muscle as quickly as possible from this routine, you must know how to properly train prior to doing this routine. Now, what do I mean by knowing how to properly train prior to doing this routine? You must know how to properly contract your muscles, okay? So before you do this routine, if you're a beginner, you want to spend about 6 months to a year learning how to properly contract your muscles. You want to learn about something called mind-muscle connection. And mind-muscle connection is your mind's ability to isolate or contract the muscle you're training when you're doing a specific exercise. So when you're doing an exercise, that's not a compound movement. When you're doing an accessory is just any movement that's not a compound movement. When you're doing that, when you're doing any sort of isolation movement, you want to be able to contract the muscle, you want to be able to contract the specific muscle you're training. So let me give you all an example. When you're doing an exercise like the chest pec deck, it's primarily there to build your chest, but it's a push exercise, so it also trains your shoulders and your triceps. However, the purpose of it is to get bigger, stronger pecs, a bigger, stronger chest. With that said, like I said earlier, it also will grow indirectly your shoulders and your triceps. However, there's a lot of better exercises to do when it comes to growing your shoulders and triceps. So you want to develop your mind-muscle connection. You want to develop your body's ability to almost effectively isolate and be able to feel the chest when you're doing that exercise. All right. This is very important. If you learn how to do this, all of your muscles will grow substantially faster. You'll get substantially faster, and you'll get substantially stronger in a faster amount of time. You especially want to learn how to contract your lats, because I was just in the gym this past last week. There's this guy. He's a pretty big dude, pretty strong dude. He's about a year and a half into training, but he doesn't know how to properly contract his lats, right? He never learned how to properly contract his lats. And more importantly, no one ever told him what he was doing was wrong. Except he asked me for advice, and I was watching his routine. He wanted some advice, some critique, and I noticed that his lats were severely underdeveloped compared to the rest of his body, right? So when he would do any horizontal row or vertical row for lats, he wasn't properly engaging his lats. So I had to teach him how to properly engage his lats. And so now he has to reduce the weight by about 60% of what he was doing. And now he's focusing on learning how to properly contract them, right? So you need to learn how to properly contract your muscles in order to do this properly. Like a lot of guys, especially beginners, do not know how to properly contract their muscles, right? They don't know how to properly contract their shoulders. They don't know how to properly contract their lats. They don't know how to properly contract their traps. All right, so all this is very, very important. All right, on top of that, you must also have your nutrition on point. And what do I mean by nutrition on point? You need to be eating enough protein to gain muscle, to gain strength, and you also need to be eating enough calories to gain muscle, or to build muscle, to build strength. Right? If you do one without the other, you won't grow, okay? So you need to eat enough protein. You know, you can eat chicken breast, tuna, tilapia, flounder, cod, salmon, all that good stuff. Beef liver, ground beef, ground turkey, Greek yogurt, eggs, egg whites. And you want to eat enough calories. In order to make sure you're eating enough calories, you want to eat above your maintenance calories. In order to find your maintenance calories, you want to go to Google, you want to search TDE calculator, enter in the information you request, which are on the calculator, and it'll give you an approximate maintenance calories. If you want to eat in a surplus, you want to eat above your maintenance calories, you want to eat enough protein. I recommend eating a minimum of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but me personally, I eat about 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight, all right? So if you're 200 pounds, you need to be eating a minimum of 200 grams of protein per pound of body weight. But like I said, I like eating 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, eat about 250 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Now, on to the routine, the good stuff. The routine is as follows. Push, pull, legs heavy. It's a 6-day split. Push, pull, legs heavy. Push, pull, leg volumes. Okay? So, Monday is push, heavy. Tuesday is pull, heavy. Wednesday is legs heavy. Thursday is push, high volume. Friday is pull, high volume. And Saturday is legs, high volume. Okay, now push are any muscles that require you to push. So chest, shoulders, triceps. Pull are any muscles that require you to pull the weight. Lats, biceps, and traps. Legs are your legs, okay? And you're gonna do those heavy. And by heavy, I mean you're gonna train in the 5 to 8 rep range, okay? For 3 to 8 weeks. And once you get to about three sets of 8, you can increase the weight by 5 pounds, but I recommend staying with the same weight until you can do 3 by 8, and you increase the weight, okay? So like, what I like to do is I start with like 3 to 4 reps on 1 week. And so 1 week on my heavy days, I'll do something like 4 sets of 4 on the bench press. And the next week I'll do 4 sets of 5, 4 sets of 6, 4 sets of 7. And then when I get to the last week, I'll do 3 sets of 8. And if I can do 3 sets of 8, I'll increase the weight by 5 pounds. Now, if you're a beginner, you can progress a lot faster. But if you're someone like me who's been doing this for 8 years, progress is very, very slow. The gains are very, very marginal. It's going to take a long time. And then for push-pull leg volume, it's the same thing, except the high volume days, you train in the 8 to 12 rep range. And when you get to about 3 by 12, you increase the weight by 5 pounds. Now, what I like to do is, my high volume training is about 65 to 70% of my heavy training. So that means if I'm gonna do a fly, I'm gonna train at about 140 pounds high volume, and my heavy day will be 200 pounds. It's about 70%. All right. So again, my volume will be like 4 sets of 8 1 week, 4 sets of 9 next week, 4 sets of 10 the week after that, 4 sets of 11 the week after that, and then 3 sets of 12. Once I can do 3 sets of 12, I'll increase the weight by 5 pounds. And in my experience, once you learn how to properly contract all of your muscles, and you're training every muscle twice a week, once heavy and once high volume, if you're a beginner, even if you don't have great genetics, your muscles will grow. I've observed this in myself and in others. So it's push-pull legs heavy, push-pull legs high volume, and there's tons of literature and anecdotal experience from other people, which is more important, documenting or explaining rather that training every muscle twice a week is optimal for muscle growth, especially for bodybuilding. And that's all I got for you guys today. This is the best lifting routine for building muscle for beginners. If you're interested, I offer coaching, how to become a hybrid, how to get jacked, how to get shredded, all that good stuff, how to bodybuild and run concurrently. Links in the bio if you're interested. If you like this video, subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.